Happy Flag Day, but unfortunately rainbows are sometimes the only type of flag you'll be seeing in many of Idaho's city centers this month. This is not an issue isolated to Boise either. Idaho Falls, Ferry, and Nampa are all sporting pride decor and festivities this year. But who's paying for it? Well, in many cases, it turns out to be you. Whether you pay taxes at the city or state level, you're funding the rainbow-clad leftists sexualizing your children and getting the government to promote themselves. On this week's episode of Fiscal Fridays, we are highlighting the wasteful government spending on Pride Month. Idaho city and state governments have been funding Pride events throughout the state for some time now, and it's becoming more common. One of the biggest Pride events in the state is the Boise Pride Festival. This event is no stranger to government sponsorships. The city of Boise is a regular sponsor to the tune of $15,000 annually. This is unsurprising as the city of Boise has spent untold sums of money putting up their own Pride flags throughout town and in front of City Hall. The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare used to be a regular sponsor of various Pride events throughout the state, including the Boise Pride Festival, the North Idaho Pride Alliance, and the Southeast Idaho Pride Foundation. This was largely done through the agency's tobacco cessation program, Project Filter. In 2022, the IDHW had to pull their $20,000 sponsorship from the Boise Pride Festival due to public backlash about the event sponsoring a drag show with child performers. It wasn't until the legislature took action in the 2023 session to cut and end Project Filter's sponsoring of these events. Related to the North Idaho Pride Alliance is the Ferry Pride Festival. This year would be the first such event in Boundary County. The venue shared that an early supporter of the event was the Idaho Commission on the Arts, an official state government agency with a total budget of over $2.2 million. What is so wrong with funding Pride festivals? The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare was the only group so far to face repercussions for their sponsorship of Pride events throughout the state. The city of Boise is still placing Pride flags around town and will likely be a featured sponsor at the Boise Pride Festival again this year. The Arts Commission also hasn't faced any backlash either. But this is what you get when the government is subsidizing something like art. You get a surplus of government-engineered bad culture. If Pride events were really that important to the community of Ferry or even Boise, the government would not need to ensure it receives the funding to survive. Rather, good art and culture is organic and would thrive as the community adopts it and supports it. In this case, it seems the Arts Commission is more interested in promoting the arts and culture the government prescribes for us rather than promoting the arts and culture that made Idaho great. The bottom line, governments should not be funding these events. When budget writers reconvene at the State House next year, legislators should revoke any authority the Arts Commission has to sponsor things like Pride events. There should also be a movement in general to abolish government agencies like them who are charged with directing the culture of our state. After all, it is not the proper role of government. It is the proper role of communities. What leftists fear might come true. Without government funding, it turns out that Idaho just might not be as gay as they would like it to be. In sum, every year, Idaho governments spend thousands on Pride events. Their goal is to move our state leftward. And as conservatives and Idahoans, we shouldn't stand for using our tax dollars this way. Let the community drive the culture, not the government. Thank you for supporting the content we produce at the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Be sure to like and subscribe to help spread our message of freedom, family, and small government. Also, the 2024 Freedom Index is hot off the press. Be sure to go to idahofreedom.org/24index to get your free copy today.